Mikal Bridges is truly special. During his career with the Phoenix Suns, Mikal was seen as a pretty good 3-and-D type guy, maybe slightly better, but around that range. But ever since he got traded to the Brooklyn Nets, he completely turned his career around. So far this season with the Nets, Mikal has turned himself into a legitimate borderline all-star. He significantly improved his offensive abilities and even improved somewhat defensively as well. And it seems like the Nets found themselves an absolute gem with Mikal. But quickly, before we get the video started, for those of you who may not know, I'm JuicySports. I make opinionated NBA content, and if you guys enjoy videos similar to this, hit that subscribe button, that like button, and that post notification bell. I also want to quickly mention that I recently started up an MMA channel, and if you guys are interested in that, the link will be in the description. But anyways, let's get into it. Mikal Bridges was drafted with the number 10 overall selection during the 2018 NBA draft by the Phoenix Suns. And originally when Mikal was being drafted, he was seen as a 3-and-D type player. He was a guy that had ridiculously good size and length, and he was also a player that had a nice 3-point jump shot. And once he actually came to the NBA, he was exactly that. He was doing a phenomenal job at utilizing his great length and size to defend at a very high level against opponents, while also at the same time doing a great job at spreading the floor out for his teammates. And in his rookie season, he averaged 8 points per game on 3.2 boards on 2.1 assists. And obviously when you look at those numbers, they don't necessarily jump out at you, but when you watch Mikal out there, he was doing his job. He was doing a great job defensively, he was doing a great job at spreading the court out and hitting those 3-point jump shots, and he was just doing exactly what the Suns expected him to do. And when you look at the following seasons after his rookie year with the Suns, Mikal did a phenomenal job at consistently improving his game season after season, until eventually he had the best season of his career at the end with the Suns, averaging 17 points per game on 4.3 boards on 3.6 assists. Now at that point, Mikal was obviously a little bit more than a 3-and-D type player. He also had a pretty nice ability to score for himself and create for others even, but at the end of the day, he was at the very best a good starting level player, and he wasn't necessarily near a borderline all-star. But ever since Mikal got traded to the Brooklyn Nets, everything completely turned around for him. Now, although it has been a small sample size, only 27 games, so far this season, Mikal is averaging 26 points per game on 4.5 boards on 2.7 assists. And clearly when you look at those numbers, they're extremely impressive, especially considering what he was doing for the most part in his NBA career prior, but also when you watch him out there, it's pretty clear that Mikal has just been unlocked with Brooklyn. With the Nets, it's a completely different opportunity. He's the main guy on this team, and he's getting most of the opportunities, and we're seeing the benefits of that with his play so far this year. Unlike when he was on the Suns, the Nets are actually running plays for him and getting him easy shots, but also giving him the flexibility and the freedom to create for himself as well. And even if he is relatively inefficient in certain games, the Nets don't necessarily care and they want him to keep shooting. And just having that backing behind you really pays dividends to a lot of different players, but especially when you look at how well he's been playing this year, it's pretty clear that's exactly what he needed. He just needed that extra boost from his coaching staff, alongside with the extra opportunity that he was granted with the Brooklyn Nets. And with the Nets going into a playoff series against the Sixers, I actually think this is going to be a prime opportunity to truly see what Mikal is made of. Because although he has been playing extremely well and he's been showing impressive improvement in the half season he's been with the Nets so far, once it comes down to playoff time, it's a completely different ballgame. Because although Mikal does have extensive playoff experience with the Suns, he wasn't necessarily the main guy on the team. So the experience that he's going to get now with the Nets being the main guy, and the fact that the Sixers are going to put most of their efforts onto him specifically, is really going to show a lot about him. If Mikal is able to play extremely well, keep up the level of play that he's been playing at during the regular season, or maybe even get a little bit better, what that's going to tell to me personally is this guy's legit, and he's headed in the direction of an all-star type guy, or maybe even someone that's a little bit better than that. Because when you talk about the better players in the NBA, of course they play very well during the regular season, but once it comes down to playoff time and once it matters most, those players really elevate their games. So if Mikal is able to do a similar thing with the Brooklyn Nets this year, I do think that's an extremely positive sign for him going forward long term. And to be honest, I do think Mikal is good enough to keep up that level of play during the playoffs. Because even though it's going to be a much more difficult task, A, the stakes are obviously much higher, you need to win to move on to the next series or you're going to go home, but also B, the opposing team is mainly going to be focused on you and they have 7 potential games to draw up a plan for you specifically. Of course, it's going to be much more difficult to keep up that level of play, but to be honest, I do think Mikal is that kind of player that would be able to do something like that. Now, I would expect the Sixers to throw multiple doubles and maybe even triple teams at him, but I do think Mikal has the basketball IQ and the basketball smarts in order to find the open teammates either in the corner for a wide open 3, cutting back door to the basket for a wide open dunk or layup, or just find his open teammates in general. And I think if he's able to do that effectively, eventually the Sixers are going to need to play a little bit more straight up, and then at that point I think Mikal could once again take over individually. I really do think the size and wingspan that he has is such a major advantage, and I think he's finally truly figuring out how to use it effectively. Now, when you talk about the Phoenix Suns, obviously I think they would make that trade 10 times out of 10. When you have the opportunity to get Kevin Durant, I think you always take that opportunity, but at the end of the day, they're probably somewhat sad they needed to give up a player like Mikal, especially considering how well he's playing now. Imagine how good the Suns could be if they were somehow able to keep him. Now, probably that wasn't even possible, but just seeing how much better Mikal has gotten in such a short period of time should be really eye-opening to the Suns and really everybody in the league. Originally, when the Nets acquired Mikal, they actually got offered 3 first-round picks for him, but they declined it. So obviously the Nets saw something in this guy, and clearly he's proving them right as he's been playing so far this season. And during the playoffs, I fully expect him to continue that level of play, and there honestly is an opportunity that he may get even better as the playoffs do progress. But now, the question is, do I think Mikal Bridges has a bright future ahead of him? Well, in my opinion, I definitely think he does. I think solely based upon the fact that we have seen him get significantly better with his increased role with the Nets would suggest that he's going to have a bright future, that alone. But when you also consider the playoff experience that he had in the past, and he had played relatively well, but also the future playoff experience that he will get, especially as being the main guy, like for example this season with the Nets and any future potential seasons the Nets make the playoffs, I do think there is going to be a very bright future for him. Because I do think Mikal is going to be one of those players that even if he does struggle in one year's playoffs, he's going to see what issues he had during that series and look to improve them during the following season. And I do think a player that has that kind of mindset is only going to get better with time. Because I mentioned this in a lot of my videos, but when you talk about younger guys, what you want to see from them is just improvement each and every season. Because if they struggle in one year's playoffs or even for a full season, you want to see them recognize the mistakes they made during that series or season and make improvements during the following years. And I think with Mikal, we have seen that somewhat so far throughout his career, but also going forward, I do think he has that kind of mindset to continue in that direction. So overall, I would definitely say I'm extremely excited to see what Mikal could end up doing, not only this season in the playoffs for the Nets, but also in the long-term future with Brooklyn, assuming he does stay there, or just in the rest of his NBA career in general. But I guess only time will tell what does end up happening with Mikal Bridges. But anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think Mikal Bridges is a special talent, or do you not think so? But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did enjoy, check one of these 2 videos popping up now, and until the next time, peace out guys.